I,
Oh, okay.
I think that it needs to be a place that a member of the public would feel comfortable visiting and, able to, physically be there with the member who, and it also needs to be advertised 3 days in advance when we send out the agenda. Those are the two basic requirements for it. So, like a hotel lobby, for example, would be accessible because you could walk in off the street and and meet with a member there, a library, any type of
Community board.
a community board office has been used a lot in the past.
Yep.
Or even an office space that, where you could enter a member of the public. Were they interested in joining you there? Yeah, I think a residence, well, we appreciate the offer is probably not, I think in anyone's best interest to have a random.
If the member says everybody is welcome to come to my house, and I'll leave all the names with the doorman.
Sure, technically, sure, but we just need to know 3 days,
Yes.
by Monday noonish when we put out the agenda that you're going to be accessible.
Yes.
At a publicly accessible.
And it will be sent out to our full email list, which has hundreds or up to 1,000-ish people. So as long as you're okay with that many people knowing your exact address, that would qualify.
Yeah.
3 days to actually
Okay.
it's in the New York State Code.
Yeah.
I will say the more important thing to us than making a quorum is just the fact that you're here and participating. So don't stress too much about the address thing if you're not able to make it.
I'm glad you're happy that I'm participating. You may not be by the time the meeting's over, but now I'm going to mute myself so that I don't interrupt anymore. Thank you.
I'm going to start in 1 minute when Stuart comes back. He had to run out for a second. And then we will start the meeting.
Oh, Andrew, by the way, I did leave messages for you, and you have not returned my calls. So after this is all over, please return my calls.
I've heard you. Thank you.
It's recorded.
Okay.
Hey, I will just welcome everybody to the first meeting of the Transit Riders Council for 2026. We do need to approve the agenda and approve the minutes, but we do not have a quorum, so we will be bypassing that piece of the meeting, unfortunately. And I will just wait for a second until Stuart comes back before I start my report. We have a very exciting speaker today. If you at all tuned in to yesterday's combined committee and MTA full board meeting, there was an amazing presentation by Jamie Torres Springer, the president of Construction and Development, and that is why I asked for a speaker. The C&D is doing tremendous amounts of work, really important work, and I wanted everybody to hear about it. And so we're very lucky to have Jim Splendor from C&D to speak later in this meeting. You will be very impressed. Everybody was so impressed yesterday. It was just amazing. So I will start in about a minute. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, Jesus.
Can you see? It'll be.
We get started.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think he wants to miss any of this, though. He has an important call. That's the issue here.
Okay.
Well, I will start. I don't want to hold everybody up. Let me just say, in light of the storm that we just anticipated, I'm glad you got in, Stuart, thanks. In light of the storm, the MTA is one of the few transit systems nationwide that operated pretty normally during the storm. It's really amazing the amount of service that was provided, especially if you compare it to what took place across the Hudson, where everything ground to a halt on New Jersey Transit. And that's a very important system. So it's hard to believe they couldn't handle some of this and keep at least some lines running. But the MTA did very well. And actually, we had a record amount of ridership in 2025, 1.9 billion riders. That is way beyond pre-COVID. I mean, it was just fabulous, just wonderful. So proud of that. You may have heard the latest news about Metro North service to Albany. It is now off the table for now because amazingly, and maybe it's due to the pressure that the MTA and the governor put on, but Amtrak will be restoring all of the previously removed trains between New York and Albany in March. And so Amtrak would like no Metro North service, but I understand from our chair and from the president of Metro North that they are still, and the governor's office would still like to have Metro North serve Albany. And it would serve Albany at a much cheaper price, obviously, than Amtrak does. So, but for now, Metro North service to Albany from Grand Central to Albany is off the table for now. There is some rescheduling going on, very important, between the 2, 3, 4, 5 trains due to the frequent bottlenecks at Nostrand Junction in Brooklyn. You know that we have the 2 and the 5 going to Flatbush, Brooklyn College. And then, of course, you have the 3 and the 4 going to Utica and New Lots. Well, when they try to cross over, because some are on the express track and some are on the local track, there is a real delay at Nostrand Junction. And there's other supposed schemes to solve this, but what the MTA is, what transit is going to do is going to move some of the 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s from rush hour, so-called rush hour hours, slightly into the after rush hour hours. And that will mean a little more service in the off-peak versus the peak, but they will schedule it so that you don't have any additional waits, but that peak trains, all of these 4 lines can get through Nostrand Junction without impacting each other and delaying many, many riders. This was approved and this will be starting pretty soon. Anybody that sees the map and sees how, you know, the 4 and the 5 are on the express track at Franklin, and of course the 2 and the 3 are on the local track, and then they have to cross over each other to get to their final destinations. You know this, don't you? Yeah, you sure do. So hopefully this will fix that problem, which is better than some of the other ideas that I've heard about possible changes to the lines and everything. So let's see if this works. ST Traffic Fare Gates has put in their brand new fare gate at 23rd Street, Baruch College. This is a little different looking and different acting than the one that's currently from Conduit at Broadway Lafayette. Those of you who went to the final meeting of the Blue Ribbon Panel on Fare Evasion, and they had all of these types of new fare gates on display, and we all tried to beat them in various ways. And some of them seemed pretty unbeatable. Obviously, the one that's at Broadway Lafayette from Conduit was not unbeatable because somebody figured out if you toss a cap over, it thinks somebody's on the other side trying to get in, and it'll open the gate. So hopefully.
Been doctored.
Sorry?
Those might have been, the videos might have been doctored in some way.
Oh.
They might have actually, they're investigating.
Oh, that's interesting because I think Conduit was supposed to be adjusting some of their.
I believe they still are, just to make sure that all of those issues are not.
Yeah,
actually-
hopefully they're going to
Yeah.
do that because that would not be good. But the The S traffic fare gate is at 23rd Street, Baruch College. I haven't had a chance to get
I
to it
have.
yet. What did you think?
It looked really good. It looked a little better, and I did get a chance to meet the guy there because Q asked me to pop over there to check it out on accessibility. They have some new features with accessibility. Word signs, and if someone wants to go under it, they can't because it's 10 feet. And you have to be really, really, really thin, like an olive oil from Popeye.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll check it out as well.
No, can people dinner to that?
People get through together if they're bunched closely together? Because I saw something on,
Or will that be
Or that it might be like a larger person and that you can go two at a time?
the accessible gates, you can
Are
actually
you
do
talking
that.
about the brand new one at 23rd Street or the one at Broadway Lafayette?
or with,
Just what I'm seeing on social media, I don't know.
Because I recall, I watched the one at Broadway Lafayette for an hour and I saw two people try to go through and it did not let them.
oh,
But-
okay.
But I did see somebody carrying a child and they were able to get through.
And even a wheelchair where the person being pushed, they didn't have that issue. It's the other gates. The accessibility one does, if they see it, that two people going through, because they're leaving, yes. If a person is paying, they need to do tap, tap
Right.
to make sure. But it's been working so far. There's been no issue on the accessibility. It's the non-accessible
Okay.
ones.
The next installations, the next stations to get new fare gates that are coming are Crown Heights, Utica, Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue in Queens, and Delancey, Essex on the Lower East Side. So those will be the next three to get the new gates. And there is a third manufacturer and maybe one of the gates will, at those stations will be from the third manufacturer.
I just really quickly, if you are out observing the new fare gates and seeing anything of interest, please just shoot us an email. I do anticipate at some point in the not too distant future, we'll be asked for our thoughts and feedback about it. So anything that you see or experience yourself would be useful to include in whatever final letter or piece we end up doing on this.
There have been some other issues affecting various transit routes in our area. Weather issues were the main part. And because New Jersey Transit was not operating, that meant Metro North's Port Jervis and Pascack Valley lines, which are run by New Jersey Transit, also were not running, which is really bad. And now there are delays on New Jersey Transit and Amtrak due to the Portal Bridge replacement, which is long needed and won't have to open for marine traffic and will allow Amtrak and New Jersey Transit to proceed all the time. But that work isn't going to be done anytime really soon. So we'll be watching the Portal Bridge issues. Of course, you also have the feds taking money away from the Gateway project. Tom Prendergast was in the news all over, former Chairman Prendergast, who's a good guy and he can't believe that this is happening. And God forbid the two tunnels under the Hudson fail, all rail traffic between Boston and New Orleans and Florida are going to be stopped because we don't have any tunnels under the Hudson that are workable. So we need to get the Gateway project back. Senator Schumer, of course, has been on top of that. Both governors of New York and New Jersey have been on top of this. We cannot let this petty stuff hamper progress. We just cannot. It's too much already. I will also say that Laurelton Station received a wonderful upgrade. I think some of our people were there.
I wasn't, Karen.
Yeah, Karen, you were at that, correct?
Yeah, Brian and I were there.
Okay. Is it impressive?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what do you want me to say? I put it this way. I'm grateful that they have it. As you know, the MTA was supposed to do these upgrades over 10 years ago to Laurelton, Rosedale, and Locust Manor. It was supposed to be a combination of elevators and escalators. And in the end,
Right.
only Rosedale got elevators. So from that perspective, we're happy. My concern is what happens if the elevator is not working, then we're back to not having, accessibility solutions. But I
Right.
guess it's still better than having nothing. The other issue is that, and this is a problem, I think, multiple places, is the cleaning up of the snow. Had that event been a few days earlier, that area would have been encased in snow and ice. And
Yeah.
that's a problem cleanup. And that's in part why I didn't come today, because of a parking situation, both in the parking lot and in the streets. So,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, well, everyone knows there's mountains out there. You can't
Yeah.
even get to bus stops, which is a
Yeah.
big complaint now.
Exactly. But,
Aaron,
we are grateful for the elevator. So in
Aaron,
that
I
respect,
also heard that Locust Manor is coming soon.
It's been rescheduled.
yeah, it was supposed to be
rescheduled.
tomorrow, but thank
Rescheduled.
goodness.
Scheduled, yeah.
Yeah, because as Karen just said, it's the same condition and because of safety and everyone, including elected officials, are on the same page.
Right.
They are shoveling that area as we speak.
Mhm.
So Karen, just keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Let me also say that 41 elevators have been replaced in the subways, which is amazing.
Yes.
And there's a lot more coming. And there are now, since last year, 10 newly accessible stations. Bay Ridge, 95th Street on the R, Church Avenue on the BQ, Woodhaven Boulevard on the JZ, Northern Boulevard on the M and R, Westchester Square, Tremont Avenue on the 6th, Mashalou Parkway on the 4, Earl Hall on the 4-5, which was very, very interesting considering that the landmark, and they were very careful of the wonderful landmark features in that station. St. Albans on the Long Island Railroad, Laurelton on the Long Island Railroad, and Locust Manor on the Long Island Railroad. Those are all coming or have been done already. So, these are all coming actually. So this is really impressive, and you'll probably hear a lot more from our C&D speaker today, but C&D has wonderful things coming for the system. And we are so fortunate that we have congestion pricing, casino revenue, a perfectly balanced and funded 25 to 29 capital budget. And that allows all of these things to take place. This is unlike many, if not most, other transit systems in the country. We also heard yesterday from our chief financial officer, we're in pretty good shape compared to most other systems. We're not facing the fiscal cliff. The upcoming budget gap that might happen in 27 or 28 is manageable from everybody's standpoint. So we are in much, much better shape than we thought we would be. And we are very fortunate to have this amazing system to serve everybody. And I will end my report with that. And then,
Andrew, I have questions. I was waiting till you finish. That's why.
thank you.
Because you should let you finish your report. I just want to be clear for that for the record because it's a serious thing. Getting back onto what Cameron's mentioning about Locust Manor and stuff. Long Island Railroad we have seen a little more improvement in, as you mentioned, the capital. We're glad to see that. We're also seeing that boarding assistance available machines are coming in more onto the railroad. So the more to continue advocating between us, the PCA-TRC, the communities over there who are really happy to see this. And I have been mentioning this to Anna Garcia as well as Hector, because things are moving very well, as well as Justin they're doing their Metro North stuff. So that's something. The other thing that I want to be clear for the records, I know Debbie put in also on the accessorize, not just the buses were running really well, the accessorize. And I did put this in yesterday in a compliment, because 2 days ago, as I was coming back, everyone said, oh, accessorize is running late. Well, yeah, they're going to be running late, and buses are going to run late because not just snow on the bus stop, but cars are not in the right spot. They're blocking the lanes. You can't just attack the MTA bus drivers because they're trying to drive the best they can for safety.
Absolutely.
And I do want to be very clear because I mentioned to Rachel yesterday, Q was very impressed. Accessory drivers are doing their best they can. They can get on and off the customers to get in safely. So I do want to make sure the accessory is not left out. And they deserve a really strong compliment on that.
And the Long Island Railroad has something like 99% of their stations accessible, which is amazing.
Well, actually, it's 95 because East New York and Metro is one of the only two right now in the city, I'm going to say, and not accessible yet. But we should be still continuing our mission this year to make sure that every station is fully accessible. And that means even a ramp, an elevator, or any kind of technology to help all types of disabilities and seniors on that as well.
Karen, you have your hand up.
Yes, I was going to say that again, the MTA, I think, did an excellent job with bus service. Where I live, there's several older neighbors and they rely on home aids. And those
Yep.
aides were able to get to the homes coming from the bus as early as Monday. So I think
Wow.
that's very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, okay, Brian, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. Um, just to start, I think everyone should have gotten the email, but it is our first meeting without Jack as part of the team, which is unfortunate. He accepted a new job managing New York City affairs with Open New York, a housing nonprofit. So we expect him to stay in our orbit a little bit, but certainly not on a day-to-day basis anymore. It was a great opportunity for him, so we're very happy for him, even though we're sad for us. This month we obviously celebrated the first anniversary of congestion pricing. We were happy to attend a rally with the governor and mayor on the date of the anniversary to celebrate all the success of that program. And yesterday I went to federal court to hear the very technical arguments on the merits of the case that Judge Lyman has been overseeing. No decision as of yet. There will be some supplemental briefings done next week. I think the earliest final ruling will come out is Friday of next week, but it could be sometime after that. With MTA related initiatives, we've been continuing to monitor and be engaged on the end of sales of MetroCard and the continued adoption of Omni, having discussions about getting some of those customer facing better customer communication elements done, both improving the app, getting transfers on screens, balances on screens for riders, just hear it's coming, but don't have a firm timeline for any of that yet. And also, just making sure that people are know where they are with their fare caps as well. I hear that we're going to be getting our Omni cards as members in the not too distant future, but more to come on that as well. On the city level, our two main pieces of engagement have continued to be better bus service, as well as fair fares. We're excited about where both of these might be going under the new administration. Certainly not a lot of excitement and initiative to get buses moving faster. We've continued to have our working group convene around bus rapid transit service and think that's an idea that we hope the administration will explore. And hopefully there will be more conversations to come. On fair fares, I think we've heard rumblings that the administration is planning to expand it in the upcoming budget, but we won't know more until the mayor releases his initial budget in the coming weeks. At the state level, obviously session has just started. There were some key wins for riders in the governor's State of the State address and budget release a week after, particularly around renovating and modernizing Jamaica Station, which is big for transit as well as the Long Island Railroad, and the expansion of, well, not exactly the Second Avenue subway, but
No.
the Q train westward under 125th Street in Harlem.
West.
I will say related to that, Andrew mentioned the issues with gateway funding. Those problems with getting the disbursements from USDOT also apply to Second Avenue subway. And while the MTA has a lot more flexibility in funding for that project than GDC does with gateway, there will also be serious repercussions for that project if federal funding is not turned back on. would not be surprised to see lawsuits on either of those issues in the not too distant future, but nothing as of yet. We'll keep our eyes and ears open on that. Planning to go up to Albany next week to advocate for our many legislative initiatives that we've gone over in the past. Nothing major and new. Planning to testify, as I know Chris is as well, at the budget hearing, which is next Tuesday, the 3rd. And then we have a breakfast with Senator Comrie and Assemblymember Hevesy to introduce our new bill called One City, One Fare, which would combine the 6 city fare zones that exist for the Long Island Railroad and Metro North into one. Also folded into that is our weekly city ticket idea, but we're expanding that to also monthly city tickets with free transfers to subways and buses. So trying to think a little more holistically about how to build on the amazing success of City Ticket and make things even smoother for riders in the city zone, or what we hope will be the single city zone for Long Island Railroad and Metro
And
North.
at yesterday's meeting, in part of one of the committees, it was mentioned how ridership, thanks to City Ticket, has exploded on many Bronx Metro North stations.
Yes.
Yep.
That's really the picture of success.
Yeah. So obviously it's one of PCAC's huge success stories in its history. One that we continue to try to trumpet and build off of. So looking forward to being up in Albany for a couple of days.
And on the
next week.
issue of Jamaica Station, because I just saw Karen's issue, most people would like to see it enclosed and obviously have elevator or escalator access at the western end of the station.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
it is cold out there, or it's steaming hot in the summer, and people would like some shelter.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerry's been talking a lot about it with Newsday. I did a Newsday TV segment that will air tomorrow morning, talking about those elements and a few others. Even, getting the streetscape as well could use some improvement. A lot of bus stops there. And the bottlenecks throughout the station. We're coming off of the air train. The big elevators on and then also at the subway are all tight.
And it is the 4th busiest station in North America.
Yep.
Andrew,
I have two.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Stuart.
About accessibility. So the discussion about having a zone or unit, isn't that something the authority, the MTA board can do?
Yes.
It doesn't require state legislative.
Yep.
So are we taking a position to
Yeah.
help this?
Yeah. And we've
they-
asked for it too.
They would be supportive, but it's something that
I think,
they don't initiate.
you know,
So I think we need to be clear about that.
yeah,
I think if I don't use the word lobby, if we're encouraging.
Advocate.
Advocating. That, right, because we don't, we're advocating that.
We're advocating.
Get me on record. Also, do we have a position on Quest? I like your name, because it's really not what this board has discussed, and it's not what the
And-
planners have advocated.
I have spoken about this a little bit, and,
It may
phase
be
3,
beneficial, but,
phase 3 was to go south,
right,
and phase 4 was to go further south to Hanover Square.
right.
And I used to kid with an MTA board member who lived on Staten Island that phase 5 would be to Governor's Island and phase 6 would be to Staten Island, but we knew that wasn't happening. But technically, it will help you if it goes west on 125th Street, you will make better time crossing 125th Street. But if you're going to Midtown or downtown, if you take an A or a D at St. Nicholas or a 2 or a 3 at Lenox, it's faster than
Pretty
taking the queue all the way back around.
So do we want to take a position on this, or?
I
It's a done
don't
deal.
know. It's not done yet, but the governor has spoken in favor of it, as has the MTA.
Andrew, can
And
I,
the last question, did overtime come up? Because that's the big discussion right now.
oh, yeah, the union.
Yeah, I heard
Meaning
that.
blowing the budget and
yeah.
how that relates to what they could do with some of these other priorities.
Yeah.
Was that something that came up in?
I mean, it wasn't really talked about at the board meeting yesterday at all.
It wasn't mentioned in the chief financial officer's report.
Yeah,
They just get figures, but the fact that it's much bigger than was expected was not emphasized.
And, we need to anticipate how that could impact what we're asking for, right? If they have to curtail something or.
Yeah,
So I think we need to pay attention to the details and get granular, how it affects the authority.
If I-
The railroads.
sure.
Can I just give you some information because I'm flat on my back and the television is right across the room from me. I watch a lot of news, and the thing about overtime was the lead story. In Newsday, they said it was, and then it was picked up by all of the local stations, and it became in various half-hour segments the lead story about the overtime. So I didn't know that it wasn't brought up at the board meeting or anything, but it's certainly for the public and not in a positive way.
All right, thank you, Trudy.
I do think the news broke shortly after the board meeting.
Yeah,
Later in the afternoon.
it did.
Some of the news media had to be corrected.
So what I'm saying is the authority's contribution to this.
Yeah,
We need to sort of know what that's about and whether that could impact other things we're advocating.
yeah. Be a good question for our guest in a few minutes.
But
Andrew?
Yes.
I will say really quickly on your
I'd like you to ask that question.
Okay, I can do that. On the other point, what we've seen with even if things like combining the cities, like the fair zones, is within the MTA's control, having the legislature introduce bills that really concretely lay out what we're asking for has been a great advocacy tool for us. We saw it really recently, obviously, with the expansion of family fare to 12 and 17-year-olds on the railroads. That was a bill we had introduced in Albany, gotten some co-sponsors on, as well as closing the loophole that, prohibited seniors, Medicare eligible and disabled riders from using their discount on the AM peak. We had another bill on that.
Yep.
Neither of those bills passed and were sitting on the governor's desk, but they were both very clear expressions of things that we wanted to see changed on the railroads. And lo and behold, we got them out there, and then they became part of the fare policy changes that were included this past year.
And
So,
Senator Comrie would certainly be in favor of this.
Yes.
yeah,
As the sponsor.
Being a sponsor resident and knowing firsthand about.
Yeah.
Long Island Railroad.
Absolutely.
We see it as an advocacy tool to have the bills up in Albany. If they pass, that would be great to put legal pressure to do it. But even in the worst case, it puts advocacy pressure on the MTA when the next fare change process comes.
Thanks.
Now I just want to add, because everyone's actually good ideas, but I agree with Stuart on, we should put our name somewhere, because the Q train going more 125th, as you said, Andrew, it will go a little faster because how traffic is on 125th, but it also gives another option, because the senior community and disabled people who live over there in Park will have optional, because if the A, B, C, D goes down, they have to take a bus to it. Prayer to God, that is another accessible station if it's accessible. If the 2 and 3 are out, they have to go all the way to the Lex or go to Central Park West to prayer that train is running. With the Q now, it's another option.
Central Park West doesn't meet 125th Street.
No, but it's
What?
still called.
St. Nicholas does.
Hold on. Whoever's interrupting, mute. Can't interrupt. What I'm trying to say, that's Debbie. What I'm trying to say is with the Q train running, and let's say it's another way of person getting another train to get up to 125th, connecting to other trains, and say, God forbid, let's say if one of those lines are down, then they can run on the Q as a backup too. I just think it's because it's another way of accessibility access, another way of people to get to, if they want to, if they're going up to JFK or LaGuardia, because it gives them another option, because some people say, oh, the A's not running. Oh, there's the Q. I can take that somewhere else and catch another train.
You're on 125th Street,
Yeah.
you want to go to LaGuardia, you take the M60 bus.
Yeah, exactly. But let's say, God forbid, something happens and they can't get on that bus because something happened on the bridge. Q is available. The Q can take you down to another, like the N and W trains as another transfer, giving the optional. I just think we need to put some, I think we should, and I agree with Stuart. I think our name should be on there because it will help the senior and disabled community and supporting the Q as another train up there.
That's your opinion.
Okay. Can you please remind her not to interrupt things?
We are going to get to in a minute.
Yeah, she's good.
Get to that. Ryan, you have some other stuff, obviously.
Yeah, do we want to pause and switch to our guest or?
I don't mean to break up your time. I'm happy if you don't mind me listening in, I'm happy to
Sure.
sit and just didn't want to be late. That's all.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just a couple other things. We printed out a couple copies of, I think, a document that existed a while ago. I hadn't
A
seen it.
decade ago.
Maybe it's been a while, I think. It's the PCAC Rules of Conduct for Meetings. We will email it to everyone right after the meeting, and just encourage everyone to review it. And if there's anything that needs to be changed, added, deleted, please let us know, and we can discuss that in more detail in February. Likewise, we also put together our list of ongoing requests. I'm sorry that we just finished this up this morning. We will likewise, so we have a couple printing copies here in the room, but we'll email that to everyone immediately following the meeting. Again, another thing that I think would love for you to review in between meetings, and we can discuss in more detail in February if there's anything that's missing, needs edits in or to make it clearer or anything that should be taken off this list. So just want to be really clear on what our priorities are. We've organized it, what our asks of the MTA and New York City Transit are, our city and borough asks to City Hall, DOT, borough presidents, et cetera. A few state legislature priorities for this organization, or this council in particular, and then a few federal asks as well. So yeah, do encourage everyone. We'll email those two documents right after the meeting and encourage you to take a look. Karen, do you want to go through research and social?
Yes, absolutely. So on the research front, one report that we're hoping to get out in the very near future, the next couple of weeks, is the Steward ridership report, as we can call it casually. But Benji, one of our two wonderful interns, is finishing up some really great maps looking at ridership changes from 2024 to 2025. And now this, of course, started with looking at congestion pricing related changes. So it looks a lot at destination based, looking at trips on the subway from the 4 other boroughs into the CBD. And then there's also a little bit of a broader look at this point. Trudy. Also looking at dividing it into weekend ridership and then also AM and PM peak ridership to look at more specific changes. And there's some interesting findings. Some are not congestion pricing related because it is, of course, difficult to tell exactly what the cause of those ridership increases are, but there are quite a few stations and lines and patterns that point to certain causes for more ridership. And I think you'll be excited to see the results.
Question. So we'll be able to surmise that some of the changes are attributable to congestion pricing.
I would say yes. We're trying to be scientific in our claims where it's difficult to say an exact cause and effect, but there's reason to believe that congestion pricing.
Because of their proximity, right?
Yeah, specifically with the maps looking at trips into the CBD, you can sort of see, for example, some of the stations that are the last station about to head into Manhattan have larger than average growth. we can make some assumptions.
Just to get granular in terms of the time of day that these rides are taking place.
So there are two separate maps. One, looking at just weekend trips, that's just the entire day on a weekend. And then one is, I believe it's both the AM and PM peak, or for the one that's going into the CBD, it's just AM peak into CBD. So that is more granular in terms of time of day, but as a whole, it's a pretty large data set and we're just averaging.
Why I asked this because we would want to know whether service is matching need.
Yes, I think that will be the next step in advocacy around those things. We're also looking at weekends because, as we've all talked about, a lot of the growth in ridership is very recreational trip based and weekend based. And so with some of the geos, we're looking at arguments that we can make about how to best serve riders on those
Lots of
times.
trains on weekends are standing room only now.
Yes, absolutely.
People are definitely using this system.
This is great. Thank you so
Great.
much.
No, of course, it was a great suggestion and we're excited to get that out in we're hoping for early to mid-February.
The other, I know it's out of turn, but it is the other.
All was out of time.
Fiscal. But no, the other fiscal item that's out there in the media now is the cost of administration for congestion pricing, the monthly cost. And how the authority is getting a handle on that. So just something to keep.
Yeah.
That came up at the board yesterday.
Yeah,
I think
right.
the members were asking about that. And it's, I believe, under budget, 30 million or so, I think someone had said.
I don't remember.
But 30 to 35 million under projection was what I think Jay or Jamie.
Just from our capital perspective. Hi, I'll do my introduction earlier, but since I'm here, I'm James Splendori from the President's Office at C&D. We reported and were able to actually put the money back into the capital program with a capital amendment last year, $75 million capital savings on sort of getting the program running. You know, we passed it off to our friends at B&T, and I can't speak to that number, but we're very happy to realize that that's a significant savings in getting it off the ground.
They were saying in the Gothamist today, and they were floating another number. I can pull it up later.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you.
Yeah, I suspect that may be the operating number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one quick final research plug. Our other wonderful intern, Henry, is working on a report on signage and wayfinding, looking at ways to fine tune some of the signs around the system and better help people get around and navigate transfers. We're looking at inspiration from all over the world, best practices in signage and communicating information to riders. And so as you are all regular riders, we would love to hear your input on that. If you have any ideas, any intersections of the transit network that you find particularly confusing or that you've heard feedback on, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you've been to any other transit systems that you think do a really great job on communicating and putting up great signage, please do reach out to us over email and send us any pictures or issues that may have come up. But we'd really love to incorporate some of your feedback.
Question. You mentioned earlier about 23rd Street, because I was waiting, I knew because this more was latest. I have took pictures. If you guys wanted me to send you the pictures and comments, I have no problem saying that. Because looking at some of these fare gates, I really be honest with you, the one at Boris Lafayette, I don't really like too much because, not just because it's not an accessible exit, it's just that the way the doors and the people can slide under, I don't like that. I like the 23rd one because, and please understand, I'm not insulting, I'm just saying, because people who like to slide, actually, they got their clothes ripped. And I still think it's funny, but that's not smart for them. But because the thing is they got to understand they have to pay the fare. But at the same time, as a person who, my mother or anyone who uses a walker, they don't want to be pushed. They just want to pay their fare, go through with no issue for safety. I like the two other fare gates, but this other fare gate at Bois Lafayette doesn't make me feel comfortable because it's like, I want to tap, I want to go through. If I'm trying to lift something, like if I'm on an accessibility gate, you got to give me at least a second just to lift it. It just goes 1, 2, 3, boom. And that's what I've been putting the comments in. It did go to MTA accessibility because they asked me to put it in. I have no problem sending it to you guys. It's cool. That's why I always ask.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Karen, did you want to mention the APTA survey?
Yes, and one final plug, this is not our survey, but the APTA Emerging Leaders Program, American Public Transportation Association, I believe, is running a survey on expanding the definition of accessibility and disability around transit. And they're looking for some feedback from riders. It's currently hosted on the transit app, but they're just looking to hear from people about the way that they navigate the system and ways to make transit more accessible in general. So we will be circulating that to you all. It is public, so you can feel free to share if you like, but please do fill out that survey when we send it to you.
Done.
Thank you.
So just to recap real quick, because just to follow up from this meeting, we'll have 5 things for you, which is, I know, a lot. We will include an attachment with the code of conduct for your review, the list of ongoing requests for your review, and we'll discuss both of those at February meeting. A mention about the fare gates to collect any feedback that you guys might have. Wayfinding and signage suggestions for our report that we're working on. There's no rush on that, but and the APTA survey. So those 5 items we'll send to everyone immediately shortly after the meeting.
Yes.
All right. So as you remember, I started in the early part of this meeting. Construction and development had an amazing presentation. President Jamie Torres Springer gave an amazing report yesterday about all the things that C&D are working on, from CBTC to accessibility to infrastructure to elevated subway structures and how frequently they get checked out and painted. I mean, it was quite about the Rockaway project. I mean, they just have so much on their plate and they're getting it done in a really impressive manner, which is why I thought it would be a great idea to hear from C&D today, and everybody can hear about their ongoing program of improving our system, which is amazing. So James Splendori is here from C&D, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. I'll mostly stick to the slides, mostly to keep myself organized here, but and not ramble on too much. So thank you for the very kind words. Put a lot of work into our board presentations. It's always nice to hear.
It was amazing.
Thank you. That folks are excited. Actually, Carrie, go and just give me this. I won't make you work here. Okay. So I wanted to talk about 2 things today. One is sort of how the plan in general and the capital program overall is progressing. And also talk a little bit about our capital program dashboard. But let's start with the program. So as everyone here knows, there's sort of 2 major pieces that are happening right now. There is the 20 to 24 program, which is still in flight, despite the sort of name. And that is primarily being funded by congestion relief funds. And then we have our 25 to 29 program. You know, these all sort of mix and mingle together. And as projects are sort of more mature and more in flight for the previous plan, you'll start to see more of our congestion relief funded or enabled projects come online. And the sort of the projects for 25 to 29 are moving, but will be in the next couple of years. So the big number we saw yesterday, and I assume everyone was watching yesterday, so I'm not going to give the exact presentation as Jamie, but to really put a point on it, a year in, and we've already gotten $5 billion worth of capital projects, sort of many in procurement, many awarded, but really sort of moving. So 3 that I think are really most important, because especially for a group like this, it is incredibly important to really explain the impact. $5 billion is a big number, but what does that really mean? So the Fulton Liberty line is 600,000 people will benefit from this, 42 miles. And most importantly, we're doing it cheaper than ever, thanks to some really innovative work from that business unit. We always use Bryant Park, but 7 accessibility stations include Gates Avenue, Parsons, Briarwood, and more. And then, of course, Second Avenue subway, which doesn't need much explanation. But again, all enabled by being able to bring congestion relief on board. Now let's talk about 25 to 29. So we call it sort of core infrastructure. This is both the things people really love and see, including the fare gates and new rolling stock and others, but it's also really the stuff riders will never see. And frankly, the 25 to 29 program is a generational investment in that stuff that people will never see, but that is absolutely critical for running service and running it reliably and safely. So the reason I sort of highlighted these three is power substations, which virtually no one will ever be inside of in this room, where more than 3 times the defects are being addressed in this plan. Signal miles, the same thing at a massive clip, and then also things like bridges, pump rooms, and the rest. So 25 to 29 will have big, exciting things like IBX, but it's also a really focused on a lot of those things. So far, where are we? So
Could you just go back to that slide? Where, in what category would you put CBTC?
That would be signal miles.
Signal miles.
That's right.
Okay.
So, there's sort of track miles, there's linear miles. The way that our team at least measures it is, we're doing 67% more in this 25 to 29 plan than we were.
And yesterday, I believe it was announced that finally 6th Avenue will get CBTC. I mean, you have Queens Boulevard East, Queens Boulevard West, and Culver, but nothing in the middle.
That's right.
63rd.
So that'd be great.
Exactly right. And importantly, advancing the rolling stock retrofits that we need to make that happen as well. And not on here, but I'm really glad you mentioned, a big part of that seems sort of off to the side or tangential to this is also our shops and yards.
Yes.
We cannot upgrade our rolling stock to be CBTC enabled if we can't fix them in the shop. And we're doing all of that, and we're thinking about it really in a systematic way. So, you get the benefits of CBTC. There's 1,000 things that go into it before you even get there. So all of it is in motion. And so talking about a little bit about what we've done so far. So in the spring of last year, the governor and the legislature fully funded our $68 billion capital plan. So we're not even really a year into a fully funded 25 to 29 plan. But so far, we've purchased more than 300 M9A rail cars. Belrose and Floral Park, which we call it an ADA project, but there's so much state of good repair that's going into these very sort of old stations. If you've ever been on these platforms, they need a lot of TLC. And that's in procurement and expected to be awarded this year. And we've got 90% of the plan sort of advanced or initiated. So that means we're starting design, whether we have internal work happening or we have our designers actually on board. 90% of that is sort of in motion. So, a little bit of a late start as these things tend to be on 2025, but we were ready to go and really got moving on so much more. So all of that adds up to our record completion commitment number last year. The important part here is part of the case we made to the governor and legislature in the budget fight was we can get the money out the door and in the hands of the folks who are going to do the work. And we knew that we needed about $12 to $15 billion a year on commitments in order to meet that mandate. So far, we've done it. And we really think that this is a level that, I don't know that we'll set a record every single year, but being able to get, north of 11, 12 is what we sort of knew we needed to do. And we've delivered on that in year one. But let's also talk about the actual projects and how we've completed them. So as Jamie mentioned yesterday, this is really a sort of tale of how much we've been able to award. And, as our numbers were a little bit lower last year, our commitments will also seem to sort of ramp up a little bit. That being said, 6.7, well above our average, our second best year in C&D history, and we feel pretty good about that.
Love that picture.
Love the elevators, love our stations business unit. A record of elevators replaced last year. 2 of these in this count are from the railroads, but 39 is also a record on the subways. We've cut 2 months off of the average replacement. So it used to be around 8 months of out of service. We've gotten that down to 6 and in some cases even less. And we're working on ways to do that even quicker. A couple of things, just because I know this is a group that cares about stuff like this. We've figured out how to commission faster with our colleagues in New York State Transit. we figured out how to demolish the cabs even quicker. So it's these little things that really start to add up, both with our contracting team and also internally within the MTA. So 2 months is about, I think it's like 30% faster. We hope we can get it every additional day. It may not show up in the stat, but means a lot for riders, and we realize that. Also adding new elevators. So this is maybe 20-year, 30-year from now, our problem of we're going to have even more to maintain, but we're ready for it. And we continue on that sort of 4 times faster than we have previously. 10 is again across railroads and New York City Transit, but we're expecting to either match or potentially even exceed that this year. But we'll do more analysis on that and come back in February with our expectations.
Fine.
So we've also been way more creative with how we're doing a lot of this work. If anybody has been to the Grand Central Train Shed or East Midtown, you've seen a ton of work happening around existing development. So, JP Morgan Chase built a new headquarters, and we said, well, if you're going to be digging into the Grand Central Train Shed, you ought to sort of do something for us. So phase 1, we completed with them and their contractors, $20 million under budget. They need to get fully out of the way before we can consider that project fully complete. Our work is for the most part done. And once we can sort of work with their little drips and drabs at the end, we'll be complete on phase 1. And with other developments happening in the neighborhood, thanks to our friends at City Planning and the really great zoning mechanisms they've put into place, there's a ton more coming. And we have phase 2 underway, which is in our 25 to 29 plan. We're designing that. We have $75 million from our developer partners in this, and that's continuing apace. So lots of really good stuff on our program. Happy to answer any questions, or we can move right into the dashboard.
I'd like to wait till you finish.
Okay, great.
Respect.
Sure, thank you. So capital program dashboard. There is and has been for over 10 years a public-facing capital program dashboard that tracks primarily the financials and the schedule of our capital projects specifically. It was created more than 10 years ago. The internet's changed a lot in 10 years. Technology has changed a lot, and also how we think about our projects has changed a lot. So C&D set out to really make sure that the riding public, the folks in Albany, and everyone in between can understand more about how we plainly speak about capital projects. It should not take a PhD to understand what's happening on our program.
The IBX is on that map.
That's right. And for good reason, which is that it's in our 25 to 29 plan. But so this is, I did this live at our press conference. It's a little bit too much of a high wire act, so we're going to do screenshots here. But so this is really the welcome screen of the new dashboard. Now, just before I get into this too deep, we're going to maintain our existing dashboard. If for some reason you love it, it'll stick around for a while, but we're sort of running them in parallel while we make the full transition over. So the existing one will stay, and you can get this as a sort of new tool to play around with for now. But this is the sort of home screen. So you can access every project that's in here, and we'll talk a little bit more about the universe that exists here. But you can find your home station either here or through a full table of projects. All of the things in blue are hyperlinked. The thing that I'm really excited about is our search and sort and filters. This is really revolutionary as far as I'm concerned in terms of usability. The search in the top right, any word that's describing a project, if you don't know where it is, but you know what it does, or you don't know what it does, but you know where it is, you can find it. And then you can also do a lot with the filters as well. This is the way modern internet works. This is the first time we've been able to do this, and we're extremely proud. Once you do find your way into a project, let's say you're very interested in what's happening at Broadway Junction in this case, there is a series of sort of information up top that gives you the general overview. Here's what we're doing, who's doing it, in terms of the contractor, and a little bit more of information. This was really in response to good government groups saying, you award this, and then we have to go into your board meetings to understand what happened. No more, you can come here as a one-stop shop. Also really great, that arrow thing you see in the top right over by, thank you. That also will copy and paste the URL to this page. So if you need to, send to friends or others, you can, that'll make it much easier and you don't have to sort of dig through. On the bottom half of this page is all of the really nitty gritty details. So this is both snapshot in time, and we update this quarterly with a new update coming in February. This is a snapshot in time and also over time. So, if we're moving from sort of left to right, you can see that blue line at the top. That is what we set the budget at award. It has remained unchanged. It's good for us. We're doing a good job on this one. And then the bottom, that green line, is how much we've expended over time. So it's a good estimate of how far along we are and at least our spending on this project. On the right side, you're seeing just about everything you could ask for in terms of what's really happening. So when did the procurement go out? When did we award it? Who did we award it to? But the thing that I'm sort of extra excited about is the bottom right, you see a couple of those progress updates. Now, I hope all of you are subscribed to our This Week in Construction newsletter. We're going to try to add as many of those, thank you, as many of those mentions as we can here as well. So it's not just, data. It is really going, well, what did you do in April? And why is it difficult? Why is it taking so long? So you're going to see some real hard facts. We have to we're legislatively required to update this page and the other dashboard when there's a budget or schedule overage of about 10% or more. So anything that's meaningful, we have to update. And honestly, we're happy to. But we're going to add a little bit more color on top of just, you're going to make us, fess up to a schedule change? No, we're ready to tell the truth and make sure everybody understands it in real plain speak. Also important, if you just want to browse and check out what we've been up to, this is a great place to do it as well. It's our initiatives tab. So here is where you can find it by sort of topic area. So accessibility projects, resilience, sustainability, and more, and even projects that have been enabled by congestion relief. So this is where you can sort of browse and learn more by just sort of our topic areas. Also really helpful for the novices to MTA or to our capital program is our services. So you just want to know what's happening on the one train, you can find that here. This goes for buses, B&T, railroads, all of it, as you can see here. But there are people who wanted to dive even deeper. So this dashboard is hooked up directly to New York State Open Data. There's a live connection between the two. If we upload it to Open Data, it pushes it to here. And that also means you can export the data via Open Data. So there's a data dictionary. So it can explain some of the fields that we have. And also, more about the data. And basically everything in our plan is also available here. So lots of good links to really dig in a little bit more. So what's happening next? There's a lot to happen in 2026. The reason I put this graphic up on the left is to show you just how complex all of this is. So this dashboard consists of all of these tables of data. They all sort of meet in the middle to form this dashboard. Now, the ones in sort of the darker colors are brand new. We've added that. The project budget updates, the details are also new, but just a little bit more beefed up. The one we don't have circles in the bottom left, that's the only data that we are required to and that we've been uploading to the current dashboard. So we've thrown in so much more in order to really plainly show everyone exactly what's happening.
I just asked you. So many different agencies are involved in all of these projects.
Yeah.
Who checks to make sure that each agency has updated their latest initiative or completion or plan to the dashboard?
Yep. So this is the beauty of the creation of C&D. So the operating agencies are involved, of course, in planning and in execution in some ways, and also in accepting our projects so that they can run with it. But we have a business unit responsible for each sort of area of the system, the ones you hear from every month, and those folks are doing the reporting. So our budget group confirms and reconfirms and triple confirms all of the budgets as a sort of centralized place. The schedule and also the budget information does come directly from our business units. And of course, our budget office, it works with, the CFO's office and others in order to make sure that it's all sort of fitting together. But it actually is able to happen all in-house at C&D.
And C&D keeps checking to make sure everything is up to the minute.
That's right. Well, we do update this quarterly. So what happens is, and I'll give you a sort of peek behind the curtain a little bit. At the end of every quarter, we do a full reconciliation because a lot changes sort of month to month. We fall behind because of snow, we take it back because of more forces. So what we do is we take a snapshot every quarter, and that does happen at C&D. And then we go into full triple check mode. And that goes around basically every corner of C&D.
But that's quarterly.
That's quarterly. That's right.
Okay.
So we've really consolidated so much data here. It's a pretty special thing. We have an in-house team that developed and manages this. So we're also really proud of that. MTA, really 21st century is very much here and we're a part of it. But so right now we've launched this in beta mode. So what that means is we've started with a small subset of projects, and we wanted to make sure that people could, see what's possible, understand, interact a little bit with the data, but we knew we couldn't bring every project in, especially those that were in flight, because it's really hard to sort of bring in a lot of that data. So we started with a subset of projects from the 25 to 29 plan, or all of the 25 to 29 identified locations. So the places we said in the book we were going to touch, they're here. Then we added projects that congestion relief has enabled because we knew that the public was really interested and wanted to engage with that. And we also added all of our active accessibility projects. So we know that folks are really interested and want to engage with that. So we started there. We're going to continue updating data quarterly, and we're going to add in Q1 all of our 2025 third-party awards. So, we took it to the board. We said it got started. We awarded it. That's going to be here by the end of Q1 as well. And we're going to start figuring out how to bring in our pre-2025 projects as well. We're figuring out exactly where to draw the line of how old is too old for a project, what makes sense, what doesn't. But that's going to also start in Q2 as well. And most importantly, also, I think for users is we're going to start piloting a lot of new tracking features. So, I think at our launch event, we got asked, what about funding? Where's the money coming from? That's a super tricky question, but we do know some things about our project when it starts, and we're going to try to add as much of that as possible so that, there's nothing that we can add that we won't. As long as the data is reliable and available to be updated, we're going to try to get it in here, and we're going to try to do it as soon as possible. So more to come in Q1 and Q2. And then we're going to see how advanced we can get, near the end of the year. But our goal is that, all 2025 awards will be there by the end of the quarter. And more projects will be added on a quarterly basis as well, while we're doing the regular updates of our existing projects. So that's sort of my spiel. Thank you all for really being engaged. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Andrew?
Go ahead.
First, I got to compliment you about you guys have been doing a really, really excellent job.
Thank you.
In the Capitol, because it's nice to see not just accessible stations, but you guys mentioning the word accessibility, but not just like you're talking about fixing a platform, not updating a train, or replacing certain things. And you hear us, and it really was great to see that. And anytime I'm at the board, I finally have to tell people, listen, you're hearing the word accessibility, not just from one person, but everyone else. Now, the other thing I brought up to Andrew, and I know we'll be bringing this up. I thought you told me. Sorry. There is some safety concerns in a different area, and I have mentioned this to TRC. It's already in the record so many times. On the B&Q, the 7th Avenue station, the edge is ready to come apart. And I see there you guys are setting up
Platform edge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know you were going to say it, Andrew. That's why I was waiting for you to say it, because it's called teamwork. I just want to make one realize that we work as a team.
I love that.
People heard me saying that. The platform edges, thank you, Andrew. You see there's a lines that looks like it's ready, but it's been a year and nothing's got done. And my concern is safety. Because now we have the new trains, thank God. But when are we guys going to think, because I was looking at your portal, I did not see it mentioning. And I am concerned because that station edges needs to be replaced as soon as possible.
I spoke to Bill Amorosa this
Yeah.
morning about this, and he's going to be contacting C&D to find out when it's scheduled.
Great. Yeah. And I don't have an update on that, but yeah.
Not asking for the answer
Yeah.
today, because I know because you have to check and everything. I'm not in a rush, but I just wanted.
That's Seventh Ave on the.
On the B&Q, we reported that like 7 or 8 months ago, and we were told it's in the next group of stations, but nothing has happened yet.
Okay.
And just to saying also, I know you're also building stations like right now with, as we already mentioned, Church with Sheetsat Bay, which is one of the stations I fought, as well as Ms. Greif is also on the Zoom. We fought for that station with Community Board 15 combined. We just glad to see that station being, the next accessible station. But we hope that before you open it, just make sure the platform edges are fixed properly, because that station is a curve and it's a sandy zone area.
Okay.
The reason is I told them, take your time working on it, because I want a station that looks nice and beautiful, like you did Church Avenue.
Yes. Thank you.
And I love your newsletter because I do get it.
Thank you very much.
But is there a way in your newsletter, and I'm being quick, Andrew, can you say how people can sign up, like when you finish your ending part? Because I do see on the NC Accessibility does it too. Say, if you're interested in more of this, you want to get someone else to sign up for the newsletter, can you set up a link like that?
I'll talk to our author. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, that's great. The more the merrier. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Stuart.
The dashboard
Mhm.
looks great and the enhancements look great, but just in terms of as you plan the upgrade, so with the word search feature, right? So is there a quick way for someone, and I've never tested this, if a project's delayed, whatever reason, whether it's something beyond your control or it's a funding issue or they encountered something unanticipated, if you type that in, would it tell you or group the projects that are not on track?
It is something we're thinking about in terms of using some sort of data visualization to show the public, this percentage is in this stage and so on and so forth. If you search delay, you won't get any results. But we would like to find ways to sort of let our users understand that sort of on time versus delay numbers and universe. It's still in early visioning, but it is something we've considered.
So my ask is just to keep that on the table, because for, oversight groups or groups that provide feedback, that would be a great tool. So right now, if there was a project that's not on track,
Mhm.
you'd have to go in and look at the particular project you want to see, and then it would tell you that detail,
That's right.
right?
And I probably should have given a little more time to this. So every project that has been awarded tells you the budget and also the schedule at award. And then directly underneath it, it tells you what we're expecting right now. So you can look on the project page and see sort of how far
I
it's.
saw that a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying if it's off track,
Yes,
unintended.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would tell you that in the narrative?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you do go that far and put in delays, the reason for the delay would be appreciated.
it is. Yes.
That's something that, we would want to see.
So
If there's a common theme, whether it's funding or unanticipated, they scoped it wrong and.
Yeah. So we usually, it's tough to tell the whole story, but we usually give a sentence or two that says, it was this date, it's now this date, unseen field conditions or, permitting issues. And we try to give a little sense of it. And we do that for all of our delay projects.
And the second and final question. So not all projects are equal.
Mhm.
Some would deem priority projects so is there a way to tell which ones are more significant than others, or they're not coded that way?
It's a little bit eye of the beholder. So it's a little tough for us to say exactly what, we would consider significant or not. The initiatives tab is probably the closest because, we created an initiative because it's something people are asking and sort of, regularly checking in about. But we've not designated any to be more, special than another.
So I'll let you define it. So if there's any significant project in the initiatives that's off track, could you share that with us right now? Anything that's not on schedule?
Yep, so there are a couple projects that,
Transit Authority.
yeah. So, the key active projects that are in there now, because this is still relatively new, we only, announced this in December. But of the initial group, our active projects right now are all accessibility projects, because that was the sort of, initial group that we really sort of kicked off with. So there are a couple in there that we've had delays on. And I'd be happy to sort of, point out which ones. But of the, I think it's 18 or 13 or so, there are a handful that have had delays in the schedule.
And it's a vendor-related kind of issue.
It's a little bit of
Everything.
One off the top of my head is a contractor performance, full stop.
I knew that was coming.
But there are some that are, a lot of times with our state of good repair work, especially, that's coupled with it. Our favorite stat is the elevator is 10% of an ADA project on average. So in a lot of cases, we've found more steel defects than we expected. And instead of saying that's someone else's problem, we said, no, we're going to fix it now. That comes up. And, so there's lots of reasons why, and I don't remember all 13 off the top of my head. But we will give you a brief description of what's happened. And ideally, some of our newsletter work will also fill in some of the holes on what's happening in the project.
So for the team, if you could share that, we have another meeting next month
Happy to.
and, take a look at what significance it's behind and what we're doing about it.
Happy to. I don't know the timing of your meeting, but we are, in February, we will have an update to the data. So,
It could change.
yeah, there may be a lot changing in, 3 weeks, but I'll connect with these guys and we'll figure out what makes most.
You're still combining accessibility projects and getting more contractors because you're combining like 2 or 3 stations in one contract.
That's right.
Which is saving money and time.
100%. Yep.
That's really great.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm curious, what type of work are you guys doing at the substations?
Yeah. So for 25 to 29, there's sort of 2 flavors of projects. There are complete overhaul. So that is, it's everything from soup to nuts is going to be completely new. Then there are sort of what we call component repairs. So, there's, I can never remember, but there's like 50 to 100 things that go into a substation to make it work. And in cases where, half of it is in good shape and the other half is in terrible shape, we're going to take that latter half. So we have a little bit of both, but then also we need to run the cables and take care of the pump rooms to keep it dry and a lot of other things that sort of go into what we call wayside power. So we're doing all of that in 25 to 29. As Mr. Albert mentions, we're also bundling a lot of that in 25 to 29 in a different way. So if we're doing an ADA project, for instance, and the substation is 100 feet into the tunnel, we're going to bundle the work together. Because if we're shutting down the station here, why not do the work here? And that is really a way that we're helping to sort of increase the pace in a way that we really just wouldn't be able to previously.
That makes sense. I have a substation in my district at 813 Nostrand Avenue.
Okay.
So that makes sense. Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
When you find really outdated technology in one of these substations, are you updating the technology?
Yes. So, it will depend on if there is something that is either functioning properly and we've not found any not found any issue, or it's sort of outdated but not outside of its useful life. We're figuring out how to triage the worst of it. But yes, that's the plan. And we also, an important piece of this is maintaining enough power in the system. So for instance, on the Upper West Side, there's like 5 substations in a row, I think, on Central Park West, all sort of well past their useful life in terms of most of their components. If we even take 2 of them out, we're risking huge catastrophic delays. So we're being very selective on trying to triage the worst of it. But yes, if there is, it's past its useful life and we find defects, we're going to try to hit as much of that as we can.
Does this apply to bridges and tunnels too, and like work being done like outside?
They're talking about the dashboard?
Yeah.
As well? Yes.
Okay.
So our bridges and tunnels work is also included there. And we will, I think we had a pretty good year of commitments for bridges and tunnels. And those will come up for their 2025 awards will be coming up in this quarter as well.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Sure. I'm asking you the chief. I had a question because you mentioned now IBX and the railroads.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna use the accessibility category. You know, there's been stations that have been updated, not with elevators and ramps, but you know, the new assistant boarding.
Mhm.
Is those being added into the dashboard?
Those are, as far as I can tell, at least not capital projects. The anything that's being added outside of a capital project is not a part of this. The IBX is very much a capital project, and we awarded our design, so we're tracking that here. But any of the additional accessibility work that's outside of a capital project is not in our purview to track here.
It'll be good because, you know, with assistant boarding, it does add helping accessible customer to know that where they have to advocate for proper equipment for all types of disabilities, seniors, because if they press that assistant boarding, so the train comes in, they'll see there's a light flashing, letting them know that station has the boarding assistance.
Yeah.
So that's something I hope we can add that into the dashboard because it'll be easier for a lot of people to advocate to let the elected officials know. A lot of them need to be educated.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you mentioned that. This dashboard was done with a ton of people involved, but we've also worked with strategic initiatives and others around the MTA to make sure that, you know, not everything is integrated right now, but it can be in the future. There's lots of ways we can make like a super MTA app, I'm sure, in the future, and we're not precluding that by, you know, we're not doing a data set that they won't use, and so, you know, things like that are certainly, you know, in the realm of possibility as we continue to work together.
And here's one thing so probably nobody brought this up, and I'm maybe gonna add. Since this dashboard is out, are you guys gonna, and I'm surprised you didn't bring this up because this relates to you. Are you guys doing more outreach, announcing this dashboard so people can see this?
Yeah, so we did a series of
Back me up.
we did a series of blog posts leading up to it. We tend to love our data blog. I understand it's maybe not the most popular website in the world, but I know you guys love it. Yeah, I'm sure this group is somewhat fond of it. So that was number one. Number two is we do have a link to it on our existing dashboard. So any existing users see when they first get to the page, like, no, we have something new for you to see and check it out here. We've not come up with a plan as of yet, but we are thinking about it as we add new features. A great opportunity to remind folks about it. So I think more should be coming as I sort of have newer, shinier things to roll out with it.
But I think it'll be a good idea to do some of these outreach because you do have libraries, community boards, and some other groups.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying what names of those groups because some of them love it, but some are just acting inappropriate. But I think the ones that really like to see the moving forward would be a good opportunity to go out and let them see it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. We're incredibly proud of it. Anyone who will listen will come talk to them about it.
Have you gotten a lot of feedback so far about the capital dashboard?
Yeah, so we actually have a feedback form in those links at the bottom. And I've, you know, done things like this before. I've never seen so much positive feedback in an open forum before. So we've gotten really good
People have
feedback.
never been given so much information before.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's usually proof that we've done something right when we get even half, 50% positive. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback on new features, on things that were broken or things that people would like to see improve. And frankly, the sort of civic tech and civic data community has been so kind. I've had other people at other agencies tell me that this is the envy of the sort of government world right now in New York, which is a very nice thing to hear. So we've gotten really good feedback, and most importantly for us, really good feedback on things to change and improve.
Let me just quantify something you said earlier. You update this quarterly, but that doesn't mean information wouldn't have been posted to it more frequently than quarterly.
No, so thank you. Yeah, this is a good thing to qualify. So new projects that come online, the first day of a quarter won't be added until we make that quarterly reconciliation. There's a couple reasons for that. You'll see if you go into some of the projects from the existing data. We award the project, we do a whole lot to figure out what the project's actually going to look like on the ground, and then new information comes in and some new stuff sort of pops out. Now, if we did it on the day we awarded it, we're risking sort of, some problems with inconsistencies and, oh, this changed in procurement. And on the last day, we negotiated this out, that sort of thing. So we tend to try to do it in one grouping. That being said, we are trying to find some ways, especially on like the newsletter information, to get that up because we already know it's true. It's not, it's no problem.
Right.
But if you are awarded something on January 1st, it won't actually show until the end of the quarter. So a little bit of a lag, but that is really, I think, for the benefit of the user and for us, because we don't want to get caught in a situation where we put something up and it's untrue.
There's a question.
Sure.
When will it be released out of beta?
That's a great question. We're working on exactly when we pull that tack off. And that primarily is understanding that's probably not the most satisfying answer. That is primarily driven by what data we feel is our sort of cutoff point, and we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. So we're really going to push that as far as we can. And once we can determine that and determine just how much information we can get into it, we'll sort of consider it our final.
Right.
Can I ask a couple
Yeah.
more general questions
Sure.
about C&D projects? We were just discussing Quest or Queens West and like what the decision-making process was like in deciding to go west as opposed to south. I know having the tunnel boring machine already down there at 125th seems like was a big driving element to it, but I was curious if there was anything else that went into that.
Yeah, so I think that's really is the answer. So understanding that, phase one, very costly, everyone sort of knows exactly what, I hope everyone knows what drove that and that we faced some warranted criticism on. But understanding that we had a huge efficiency opportunity, we couldn't not think about it. So that was really the basis behind, why should we put this into our comparative evaluation? And for those who didn't read to the very end of the huge capital plan or a 20-year needs assessment, a series of project ideas. We did a real rigorous apples to apples analysis of what made most sense based on, ridership, efficiency, cost, and others. And this scored really well. So that idea was one we couldn't pass up. The governor agreed, and that was sort of what led us there. Going west does not preclude, the idea that we could come back and try to analyze again, sort of going south. But when we had this opportunity that scored really well on our comparative evaluation, we wanted to continue on.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus sorry, Brian.
Go ahead.
The layup tracks for phase two are already extended as far west as Lenox Avenue.
Right. So we had a little bit of a sign from our past that maybe we should look west. Yeah.
Fair. On the Second Avenue subway, obviously a lot of gateway news this week about where they are with getting their appropriated funding dispersed from the federal government.
Yeah.
Here, Second Avenue is sort of in that basket as well. Level of concern and anything we can do to help to, raise the alarm on that piece of the issue.
Yeah. It seems like with Washington more than normal, it depends on the way the wind is blowing, what the sort of news is going to be. But we had an agreement with the federal government. We were going to pay half. They're going to pay half. We don't believe we've done anything to, break that agreement or to give us reason to think that we haven't held up our end of the bargain. And we're going to continue being good partners and assume that they'll keep up their side as well. So that is sort of our view for now. The project is going on time, on budget. We feel really good about the progress so far. And in fact, we're looking to award contract 3 this year. So, level of concern as much as anybody's, but, not to the point that we think, we're in grave danger. What everyone can do, call your senators, call, your Congress people. And remind them the importance of the project. But, we like to think that honoring contracts is something that will continue on despite the blustering.
One can hope.
Yeah.
Although if the congestion pricing arguments yesterday were any indication, it can be canceled at any time for any reason. So one last one, we hear a lot about what you're doing to save money and the really intelligent efforts to bundle contracts, to, reform procurement and design processes. Is there anything that you haven't done yet that's on your to-do list that you think would be not too high hanging fruit? And related to that, overtime kind of, was just in the press this morning.
Yeah.
Is that a concern with capital at all? And does that impact, future planning?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second piece, which is most of our work is done by third-party contractors. So we, set the price at the beginning, and unless there's a really good reason that it's our fault, that's the price that we're going to sort of, mostly stick to. So the sort of in-house overtime is not something that, we think about too much. But on the what we could be doing better or what we're looking forward to, it's others, I think, sort of technological upgrades. So the things that both are in the system, but also that we use. So, Jamie says this all the time. The construction industry in general is the least productive in terms of technological innovation of basically any major sort of sector. I think it's like $1 trillion of the economy could come back if the construction industry reached even a normal level of adoption of technology.
Wow.
So, it's one of those McKinsey studies, mileage may vary on how much you buy into that. But if you're out on a job site, like there's still a lot of paper forms and people pulling pulleys and, all the stuff that really feels, like it's ripe for, an upgrade. But that also includes what we do internally. So we're moving from sort of outdated, decentralized file system into something that's brand new to us, at least, but not to the industry. And that's going to take the whole year really to get 100% right. And that's going to improve the way we report out to folks like you. It's going to improve the way we manage our own projects. And frankly, it's going to be a bear of a project through the year. So if I look at something for the year that none of you will see, but that everyone will see the results of, I think it's something like, we're calling it our PMIS, our Project Management Information System. It seems like we have
I just hearing. I can.
And I think it'll be huge for us. So I'm excited for this time next year. We're hopefully going to have a great success story, but it may take most of the year to get it right.
Cool.
Are we still inspecting subway elevated structures monthly to check on their need for painting and upgrades?
That is something that Subways does. So I don't know exactly the cycle, but I know we are really in close work with them. And we have 30 miles coming up, but nothing goes to the point of being dangerous. So that is happening regularly. And then
I had heard about monthly inspections and painting more frequently than ever.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to deteriorate and then cost more or, God forbid, fall apart.
That's right. Yeah. So we are, and I know you're probably sick of hearing about this, but the way we're doing elevated structures is, we're talking about the blasting of it. It's really because we need to get closer to the steel in order to be able to extend the life. Yep. So we used to play around the edges, fix it a little bit, and then hope it's going to last 15 years. Now we're let's really get into the defects that the more regular inspections are really telling us are there. And, once and for all, we do it. And 30 years later, we'll be back to the neighborhood, but you won't hear from us on that front for decades, which is really nice.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions? Well, this has really been informational and
thank you.
Really made us feel good about the system and how it's being treated. And C&D is doing amazing stuff, and we hope to see that continue.
Thank you. Very, very nice to have to be here with you. And dashboard or otherwise, happy to answer any questions as you know.
Thank you so much, James.
We'll send out the link to the dashboard and newsletter to follow up for the meeting. So.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Feel free to take some cookies if you like.
Oh, I'm good. Have a good one.
Now you just need the keyboard.
It's okay.
That's a great presentation.
Yeah. And I don't know if you had a chance to see Jamie's presentation yesterday, but really amazing. So much good things are happening in the system, and thank God we have the funding for it. Unlike many other systems which are facing their fiscal cliffs.
Karen wants a cookie. Sorry, we can't virtually send you one, Karen.
Sorry, Karen, but I ate your cookie.
Okay, moving along, I think we're up to old business. Does anybody have any items for old business? Seeing none, hearing none. How about new business?
I actually do, Andrew.
Go ahead.
Since this year, and I have actually two. I would like to request if we can have NYPD to be one of our speakers in the future. Because of not just the new fare gate, but what is their plan dealing with the fare evading? Because the only person division I have seen more out is MTA police and the troopers. I do see them stopping them, but unfortunately, it's not much in Brooklyn. It's more dangerous in Manhattan. Even doing with the holiday train, there was a lot of people homeless. You see them smoking, you see them, I don't want to say the rest because it's inappropriate, but I don't see them out and about unless we put it in and then all of a sudden they show up for these 2 or 3 days and then they disappear and then that's it. In the other boroughs like Queens, I see them all over Queens Boulevard like it's no day tomorrow. I see them in the Bronx. I see them in Brooklyn. But I will defend Transit 34 because I do see them there. I do see Transit 33 if I'm in Canarsie, Rockaway Parkway. But again, the more problems is those people, and I'm not saying who, because
So you want an NYPD officer,
So the new
police officer, as opposed to Chief Kemper?
Kemper.
yeah, because Chief Camper, we have good communication.
Oh, he's great.
He's fantastic.
It's a new chief Kemper. Is that who you want?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think,
You have a relationship with him.
I have a great relation with Chief Kemper, but he's
No.
MTA police.
I know, I'm saying, who is the new, he was MTA and PD.
He's MTA.
But his old role.
His old role,
yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know who that is.
yeah, and I do met him a couple times at the board meetings, but I have not seen him.
Okay.
And the concern is safety is the strongest issue.
Okay,
And in the future, can we talk about fare evading on the buses a lot?
that's the majority
Yeah.
by far.
But I'm not saying now, I'm saying in the future.
I asked
Yeah.
the chief financial officer yesterday, and we're still in the 900 million to $1 billion, 70 some odd percent, which is buses, not subways. Subways has been brought down somewhat.
Yeah, but it's still a concern that I just think we need to bring up for the
Yeah,
future.
I know who to ask to come.
Joe Galata, right?
He's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chief Galata, yeah.
Yeah, the one who's used to be from Staten Island, now he's with Transit now. I have spoken to him, but have not seen him at the committees or the board.
Stewart.
With new business, so, when we have our ongoing requests, old business with station cleaning and that's still an issue. But we haven't spoken about this in a while. It's the car cleaning schedule. Certainly things have changed since COVID. I've seen, other than the one train that always seems to be wonderful when it comes out of the terminal. Certainly downtown, I don't know how the. train ends up.
242nd Street.
Right, the lower one, right, but just in general, I think we need some more information on what they're doing post-COVID. Because I've seen inconsistent things, certainly on the Culver line. In the morning, sometimes things are not really acceptable.
Sticky floor.
Right, sticky floors
Keep going.
or debris left over from people who wait on the train, which is unusual, but
That's usually R160s on the F line.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And one.
So I think in general,
and that's probably the Coney Island Yard, I'm guessing, but
Stillwell is supposed to be doing this.
yeah, yeah.
But I think, I think we need some more information in general.
Yeah, we can have a
System
car cleaning there. Absolutely.
What's changed since COVID and, are they experiencing any issues with staffing or acquisition?
I've actually seen an R211 not in the greatest condition inside
Already.
already.
So
Yeah.
It's happening.
I think it's something we need.
So we have to find out the maintenance and cleaning
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah.
Or schedule, as Andy Blackford would say. Yes. What are you pointing to?
I think Dante.
Yeah.
Dante, you have a question?
I was gonna add, I guess it's kind of old business, but kind of new business. It stems from the station cleaning. Nostrand Avenue on the AC is a disaster. Utica is a disaster, all of them.
I was gonna say,
Um,
yeah.
Is there any way to improve this communication about station cleanings? Could there be signage? Kind of like when you get in an elevator, it says who has cleaned it and what date and they've inspected it, something like that. Maybe something to sign that. Something.
Seen them on the platform levels in some of the restrooms and like station was done. And they do have the station cleaners that sign a log.
Yeah,
They do have them. I have.
have it. Okay, so that's good to know that they have that.
Or more information about.
And just along with you,
Yeah.
I think we need to be precise if we're asking about heavy duty cleaning versus regular cleaning, because this looks like it's not getting attention.
Yeah.
Like when I raised Fulton Street.
Yeah.
With regular cleaning. Now it's every morning they're out mopping and I don't see issues.
Yeah.
But
Maybe we can get the line supervisor to come to
It
a
needs a deep
Yeah,
clean.
That's what it's.
Right.
It needs to be deeply
right,
cleaned.
so
We need,
Yeah.
A&C line supervisor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually,
It's been in Utica?
No string
the
Utica.
Fulton Street corridor.
Okay.
Because the Brighton line corridor, I actually met him when I was with, well, I'm hanging up.
We gotta move on for other people. We're running out of time.
Karen?
Karen, your hand is up.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Three quick things. One, I just want to continue what people are saying about subway cars not being clean and also the Long Island Railroad cars, especially the seats. Except for the extremely new trains, they're filthy. They're not being cleaned. The second thing, I know we had touched on this last year and we never really do a planning session, but what do we decide? I know some of the things are legislative goals, but what are the things that we want to achieve for this year? So I would like that to be stated more clearly, and then for everything that we're doing in terms of presentations to kind of match those goals. And then the third thing was, there was some mention last year about predictive AI software and cameras on MTA, and I had requested that there be a presentation or some follow-up about why that's being used and how that data is going to be shared, and I want to make sure we don't forget about that. Thank you.
Sure. And Karen, one of the things that Brian mentioned earlier that he'll be sending you, one of the documents mentions our ongoing things that we want to accomplish this year. So you're going to get that in writing.
Okay.
Andrew, I still would like to raise the objection to removal of the names where trains run, like on the Manhattan subway map, the trains on Lexington Avenue, they took off Lexington Avenue. We have 296 streets, one on Lexington, one on Broadway, and I feel those names should be put back on the map just as they are on the bus maps.
So you want the cross street, you want the avenue or the north-south route to be listed on the station name? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not on every station name, but if you look at the older map, you do see, like, taking Manhattan, which I'm familiar with, you have trains going up Lexington Avenue, and along vertically on the side, it's at Lexington Avenue. Those were removed. So and the same on the west side with Broadway. So if you say, where's I want West 96th Street, people see two of them.
That's actually three of them, because there's four of them now, actually. There's 96th and 2nd, 96th and Lexington, 96th and Central Park West, and 96th and Broadway.
We can look at that for our signage as well.
It's a good flag.
We'll look at that. Thank you.
I just, for the record, just count me in as listening in, Alan Flax. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any issues?
Well, we can't vote, so.
We can't vote, but if everyone's in agreement, we can adjourn. Stay warm, everyone.
Later.
If you can.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone, have a good day. Stay safe.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.